Hello and welcome back to Darren Doing. I'm all Hester and I'm joined by the brilliant Ben Bowman. Ben, how fucking happy are you right now?
Spurs are on their way to Wembley. We've got a fucking second leg. Who cares? No.
I was saying it's like that Ralph Hasenhüttl meme like, at full time where I was like fucking mental in my living room trying to recreate that Bergvall knee slide down my hallway, and then I was like, oh fuck, like the thought kept creeping into my head like we gotta go to Anfield, and I was like, forget about that, forget about that. It's gonna happen until we're there.
Romero and Van der Ven back. They're back.
Mate, Vicario be back? Don't fucking care.
He ain't getting in the team ever again, is he?
He's never seeing those gloves again.
No.
I've got a question though. I'm pretty certain I can't be the only one that's still bricked up.
Yeah. Anyone else? Anyone? Anybody? Half mast at least, like.
Yeah, mate. I couldn't. I mean, I could believe that we did it because it's Spurs. So like when we're down and out, we always reel us back in. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
the performance over anything was what was, because actually let's get it straight. Yeah, that was the best performance in about 2 months.
Yeah,
and it couldn't come at a better time. And all those losses kind of made this one worth it.
100%.
Do you know what I mean?
Maybe we just are a cup team. Maybe we are just a cup team this year. And do you know what? I think the players. I think a lot of the stuff that we said after the Newcastle game is even more evident today. Like, it's in terms of like the fact that the players are clearly playing for him and that kind of stuff. Like that was so evident last night, and they're not willing to just give up in a period where it's only going to get tougher. You know, it's going to get worse before it gets better, isn't it? Like we all know that. We've got Arsenal next week, but fuck it, can we do them?
Yeah,
could we?
Yeah,
I don't know. But like, it's going to get. You know, we all knew that going into this game, it was going to be really difficult. But the players just like they're not giving in at all. And it's like Postecoglou was like gushing with praise on Saturday for the players. And you know, you're never gonna. I think you know people will always say about like people losing the dressing room and all that kind of stuff. Like you're less likely to lose a dressing room where you got an average age of, I don't know what Spurs' average age is, certainly right now, and especially with the way that Ange is kind of bigging up some of these players. But I think they are. I think they are fully bought in. I think they really, really are. And like Ange was talking about that last night as well, saying about how like I'm so sure the players believe in the path we're going on. It's a bit crap right now. It's a bit rocky, but like it's just testament to them for just sticking with what we believe and getting through it. And although we saw a different kind of Spurs last night, whether that was a tactical thing or whether that was because we didn't have a lot to give, so we had to kind of defend in more of a deeper block. Like it worked, and it was more balanced. It was more pragmatic with that ability to be able to go forward as well. And you know, it was just an amazing night for Ange, I think, as well, just to be like, no, I am like, we can still do this. We're like, you know, I think it's really like something to hang your hat on last night. If you don't believe, like if you do believe and you're like, find yourself doubting a little bit and you're like starting to waver on Ange, and that's absolutely fine, by the way, because I think we've all done that a little bit. You have to, like, you can't be 12th in the league and still be 100% convinced that he is the guy to, you know, there has to be a little bit of you that's probably going, oh, actually, I'm not sure, even if you maybe are the most staunch Ange guy. But like nights like last night just make like it was a performance to be proud of, and also like for the fans and the manager. And it's really something to hang your hat on and say, look, we know it's going to be shit. We know we might lose next week. We might lose a few more games until everybody comes back. But there is really something to hang your hat on there. And look, whatever happened to the league this season where we can just write it off, if we can win a trophy and use that as a springboard to kick on next season, with the players that we've got developing, like the fast-track development of some of these young players because of this situation that we've been in, it's just like, it means you can just forget about, like we said about Newcastle, that you can kind of put that performance and result kind of in isolation from a lot of the other bad ones. But last night is a real opportunity to turn a corner, whether that will happen or not. But even if it's not, it's just a flag in the sand to say we aren't going away and we are still fighting and we can win something this season. Yeah. So it was a great night, a really good performance in the circumstances, and we deserved it. Like we did deserve it.
Yeah. When a manager's down and out, these games are sort of like a good decider on how lost they actually are. But you don't win these games if the players aren't fighting for the manager. If there isn't still, if there is something there, and there is something there, and it does kind of feel like we've ridden this wave, and I don't want to give them too much credit because it's like, well, it's like the bare minimum, but I think the constant reports and stuff like that of we are backing him, we're staying with him through this sort of this shaky spell has definitely helped the security around the club and the supporters.
I think so.
To still buy into it, I think. But I mean, it kind of put that Liverpool game the other day, right? It was like a redemption game because it was such a disciplined performance, and I'm Antonin all the way, but I definitely had doubts, and everyone knows I had doubts. And I had major concerns, and I was worried, and I was thinking, just see it out to the end of the season. We have to ride this shaky spell out, anyways, and it could get even worse. We don't know, but what I wanted to see from him was just more in-game game state understanding and discipline, and that was one of our most disciplined performances I've seen under Ange so far at home, understanding the players available, understanding the opposition, and yet keeping that philosophy. Every time we attacked, we thought, okay, this is looking good, and then maybe it was just a pass that was maybe just behind an attacker or too much overhit, but we looked threatening every time we attacked, and we deserve to win that game. I know there's a lot of controversial sort of, there's a controversial narrative around he shouldn't have been on the pitch, all this stuff, but mate, we scored an offside goal. It was like narrowly offside. Liverpool didn't really have a real big chance apart from the Dragusin clearance off the line.
Yeah.
And what pissed me off so much, is the narrative after the game. If Spurs were lost that, they would have pardoned on to Postecoglou. Mm-hmm. Postecoglou has just tactically outclassed Arne Slot, like tactical genius, with an 18-year-old midfielder playing centre back. He's won the game. He's got a clean sheet.
Yeah, and he was great as well.
And we'll get into it. But with no one and Sky Sports etc. They turn a blind eye and they make it into even the Sky Sports highlight on YouTube is controversial goal wins Spurs, as if we didn't deserve that game anyways. Like they refuse to give Ange his flowers. And it's just that narrative of he's obviously the next one on their sack list.
He's become the new Ten Hag, isn't he? He's become the new
Ten Hag. They don't like it, so they're gonna keep this narrative until he's gone. And it's a hit piece. It's every single time. It's so frustrating as a Spurs fan we kind of just have to enjoy this ourselves because no one else is giving us credit. Yeah. But we know that these are the reasons why Postecoglou is still so he's so popular in the fan base, because we can see the potential. We can see this is here. That was with an 18-year-old midfielder at centre back and a 21-year-old goalkeeper playing his debut. Fucking hell. We're going to get into Kinsky in a minute, but oh my God, what player. Lange, mate. I'll take back everything I said about him. You're insane. It was funny, though. I was thinking in the dugout, it did look like Buzz Lightyear versus Lotso tactical masterclass.
Yeah.
Lotso got his revenge, mate.
Yeah. Something changed.
But yeah, Sky Sports. I saw you on Twitter, and you made a TikTok video about it as well. It's like Sky Sports, they were just fucking suka-la-minking Van Dijk off when it comes to that decision, and then they were pressing Ange in the interview after. Not like, mate, well done, you've just beaten Slot's Liverpool, their second loss of the season, like fair play. It's all about, was that a yellow? Shut the fuck up, like shut up. Like it's so annoying.
It's boring. It's so boring.
It's so boring. So what do you think about what I just said? Really, I don't really have a question, but
I mean, it was I made a video about it this morning talking about like Van Dijk, and I was like, I think he needs to humble himself a little bit, because there was a time a few years ago in the Champions League where Liverpool got to the final in a really controversial game against Roma where they should have had 2 penalties, and his response was, "Who cares?" And now, instead of kind of addressing your team's kind of deficiencies and frailties on the night, you turn to that and go on about it. And it's also the reporter, like, does not hold him to account whatsoever. He just goes, yeah, no, we all thought it was a yellow as well. Like, we all thought it was really lucky. It's like, you're supposed to be impartial. Like, you've not offered up any other thing about, like, well, did you not think it was a bit fortunate the first place? Diaz probably dived for the first one. It was never a yellow. And I get, like, obviously, like, if the referee has decided that is a yellow card, he has to referee those incidents individually. And if he believed that the second one was worthy of it, then Bergvall should have been sent off. Like, but at the same time, if you think that stuff like that doesn't play into referees thinking about like, maybe I was a bit too harsh on him in the first one, you're lying to yourself. It happens all the time. Like, refereeing is never as black and white as like, I know we were moaning about Jolinton at the weekend and going like, well, there's 4 yellow card incidents. And I understand that when you're emotional in the moment after a game, you're going to say things like that. Even though Jolinton got away with like taking people out, whereas Bergvall, it was a little bit different. And especially the first one where he completely dived Diaz and they bought it. You could see straight away, like from where I sit, I was a way away from it, but it was like you could tell it was a dive. And like Postecoglou and Matt Wells and the whole bench were just like, that is a joke. So the referee was probably influenced by that a little bit and thought, well, maybe I'm not going to give him one. And also, Postecoglou dropped a truth bomb on everybody and told everyone a lesson about the fact that referees say, apparently, well, if it's not a cynical foul and he's not, you know, what did he say? It was like, if it's not, I never knew this was a thing.
Advantage or something. I can't remember.
But
I don't really understand what you're saying.
No, neither did I. But do you know what? I love that from him because it was like, what I like about Ange now is that, and people will say it's like a victim mentality, but it's almost like a herd mentality and like a what's it called? Like
us against the world.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. It's just like we're kind of no, we're going to sit in like siege mentality. That's the word.
Siege mentality. Yeah,
like it's like that, and you know, to come out and be that defensive and defiant about it, and just be like, no, actually. Bear in mind, like I don't know who. I mean, I was on the way home from the game. I don't know who did their interview first, Van Dijk or Ange. I presume it was Van Dijk.
I actually don't know. I was so like I was in a haze.
Yeah,
like, I was just so happy.
you were still knee sliding.
You know when heroin kicks in and you're just a vegetable.
Yeah, you just.
I don't know. I wouldn't know.
No,
that was me with dopamine. I was just like that.
Yeah,
in my living room,
just floating up. Yeah. But like, you know, I presume that Van Dijk's was probably first because I would have liked to have thought that the reporter would have said, well, actually, Ange Postecoglou has just told us that the referees have told him that these are the rules and that because it wasn't a cynical foul, it shouldn't have been a second yellow card. So, yeah, whether that's true or not, I have no idea. But that's part of the problem as well because, like, how does Ange know this? And he only knows it because they've been going on at the referees for months about teams getting away with it against us. And then he finds out, then tells everybody, no one knows it's a thing. Players clearly don't know it's a thing. And of course, like you're going to scream for a yellow on the pitch anyway. Absolutely. Like everyone was heart in mouth thinking, oh God, why has he dived in there? But like the first one was so clearly a dive. And Van Dijk, I like Van Dijk. And I think he's an amazing defender. And I thought he played really well last night. Solanke worked his nuts off and was brilliant, but he got very, very little out of Van Dijk whatsoever. Like hardly any change out of him in terms of when he was backing into him. Van Dijk was always there. When we were trying to go long, Van Dijk was always there. And I think Van Dijk at the moment, I think that interview was obviously probably a little bit frustration, the fact that he's not getting a lot of help around him. Liverpool's defence recently has been pretty atrocious. Van Dijk was brilliant on Sunday against United when everybody else was letting him down. And it was kind of a bit similar, I think, in that second half last night. I thought Van Dijk was really imperious, but everybody else was a little bit frail. And I think maybe it was a bit of frustration because of that. But also, he gets away with a lot, Van Dijk, like on the pitch, like... Yeah. Anthony Gordon a few weeks ago against Newcastle, where he just completely shoulder checks him. Last night, Tom Cairney got sent off for what Van Dijk did to Solanke against us last night against Fulham. He raked down the back of Kulusevski's car for Achilles, and he got sent off. Van Dijk, I'm not saying it's definitely a red card, but he wasn't even given a foul in that moment. Then he gets booked. Then the game might change a little bit, and then he could make a second. Who knows? It's all hypothetical, but like. I think that, and Slot, I thought did really well when he came out and was like, yeah, we thought it was a second yellow, but it was like, it's one of those things in football where Ange was in here moaning about things going against him at the weekend, and sometimes these things level themselves out. It was a good goal. Bergvall played really well, and, you know, we have to kind of look at ourselves, and it's going to be a really hard game when we play him again. Like, I think Van Dijk, it was so much of it was on the, and to be fair to Van Dijk, at the end of it, he sort of did say, like, that wasn't why we lost, but he just kept going on about it, and it was more the reporter just validating everything that he was saying and not questioning anything and not bringing up the fact that it was so clearly a dive for the first one. It's just like, but again, if people want to, if it allows us even more to kind of shut everyone else out from the outside and just create this siege mentality, like backs against the wall, like if no one else is going to give us the credit, if no one else is going to talk about things that actually matter in terms of, or present both sides of the argument, then fine, we'll do it ourselves. And that's why I loved Ange's interview, because people will get onto him about moaning about referees, because obviously he set his stall out last year and was like, oh no, at some point we have to accept the referee's decision. His issue has always been with VAR. Always been with VAR, and I don't think that's ever going to change. And people will refuse to see that because they don't like him. And his issue again on Saturday wasn't about the handball necessarily, the decision in the moment. It was about VAR. And last night he was talking about the VAR. He said that brilliant thing about like, you guys think you're the custodians of the game, you invented it. Why do we kind of have to changing it? And it takes an Australian to kind of come over and say these things when actually you are the guys that invented it. Why don't you want to protect it so much instead of making all these changes all the time? So, like, I love this. Like, even if he's going to contradict himself a little bit, I couldn't give a shit because it's like showing that character and strength to stick up for these players and go, things are going against us. It was only last night where they showed all the fucking injuries. That graphic of the injuries on Sky, I saw it this morning. It was like, well done. We've been saying this for fucking months. Like, and again, but they'll show it. But then after the game, again, I haven't properly seen it, but a lot of people saying no credit for keeping a clean sheet with a 21-year-old goalkeeper, Archie Gray and Radu Dragusin at the back. Like, if no one else is going to do it for us, we'll do it ourselves. And if that makes us unbearable and we're whinging and we're moaning all the time about the injuries, couldn't give a shit because we're not getting the credit from anybody else, especially after a brilliant performance last night. Like,
yeah, I love that Ange's response to the question as well. He's like, "That's a great question, mate. No, I'm really glad you asked that question, mate." He's almost just like
good,
just taking the piss out of him because it's such a
good
question.
Like, actually, and he like interrupts him as well. And it's like saying, "No, don't talk over me." Like, I know the rules here. It's so good.
There's so many moments of that Ange does in interviews, like when he dropped that line of that I always win trophies in my second year, mate. Like when he dropped that, it was the are you going to let me answer the question or like because the reporter kept repeating the question before he answered it. I love him. But what was I going to say? Yeah, it swings roundabouts because do you remember under Ryan Mason when Richarlison scored that equaliser and moments before, Jota should have got a red card clear as day for the high foot on Skip.
Yeah,
it really hurt. Skip could have really done some damage. I think he cut him on the head, and then he scored the winner. It's like, well, history sort of repeating itself. Like you're on the other end of the stick. Like it is what it is.
You could argue. Well, look at what happened to them against us last season, but.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, well, that's getting me scared for Anfield now, and I feel like that's what
I did say this. I said this in the video. That we're going to get the stinkiest decision go against us at Anfield.
Yeah. And Van Dijk's trying to generate in a post-match interview, like, oh, they've been robbed, all this stuff, trying to get their siege mentality up for Anfield. Yeah. So I get that. It's part of the game. Like he's an experienced leader. He knows how to sort of manipulate fan bases and get like. I mean, when you've run the narrative of you've been robbed, you're going to be sharp for that second leg, especially when you're at home. But we don't have to think about that really until the time comes because we got players coming back, and that's the thing. This was going to always be just as much as a challenge. I know we're at home, but with the resales, I mean, there's probably the same amount of Liverpool fans in the stadium, anyways. But I want to start going through players now.
Yeah.
I just want I want to just say shout out to these players, and then we'll dive into individuals. Kinsky, Porro, Dragusin, Gray, Spence, Bissouma.
Brilliant. He was brilliant.
Yeah. Bentancur, rest easy, mate. Rest easy. Bergvall.
Brilliant.
Solanke.
Oh.
Kulusevski.
Yeah.
Johnson and Son.
Yeah.
Good effort.
Yeah.
No, I know I just said the whole team, but I think it was just a collective effort, and it was just incredible. And there wasn't anyone. I don't think there was any weak links.
No,
but there was definitely some standouts. So let's get into the standouts. Before I do, because I don't know whether we'll actually get into him personally, but I've been really critical of Dragusin. That was brilliant last night because he played to his strengths, but he was a lot more direct. There was a moment where he ran out of he broke through the midfield with a 1-2 with Porro, I think, broke past took two Liverpool players out of the game, and it was like I like seeing that because again. I think we all think he's really limited on the ball and stuff like that, but he is an out and out defender. And that, I mean, when he does things like that, it's really promising because that's only going to benefit his confidence. And that's the thing. I think he's just really low on confidence because we play in such a vulnerable system and for defenders and a system that doesn't suit him and where we play such risky to break the press and to start our attacks is such a risky gameplay especially for players that don't really know how to play out for the back. So his confidence is going to be low, but he was superb, and that goal line clearance was incredible, mate. That was ridiculous because even if he was there anyways, to sort his feet out when a ball is zipping into your path that quick, it's so easy for that to wriggle through your legs or to deflect still in because of the pace on the ball. And he knew exactly what he was doing, and he was assured, and he cleared off the line.
You knew Trent was going to hit it as well. Like I said to my my old man next to me, like it was going out to him, and it was like, how many times have you seen Trent do that? Where it's like he's just going to lever this back in straight, and the technique that he's got, that was a goal. Like he called it so well, and it was like no off the line.
He scored a goal like that against us straight after the half time when Mourinho was the manager. I think in lockdown in COVID, and I think that was when Bergvall hit the post. Was that the same game? I can't remember.
No, that was at Anfield. That one was at Anfield.
Oh, okay, yeah. But he scored a really similar goal from that angle. And it was almost like, I've seen this before, and Dragusin just read it. So brilliant from Dragusin. But that's a nice segue into the debutant, mate.
My word.
Antonin Kinsky. Because Tony. I think Dragusin, Tony, mate. Tony. I think that him being there and his distribution, which I fucking didn't know he had, by the way. I'd seen a couple clips.
Yeah.
But Jesus. But I feel like not only did it make the fans more assured and more confident, it made Dragusin Gray much more confident on the ball. He was coming out. He was making moves for him. So they had much more options when they were against the press. And you could see the confidence he installed in Dragusin, Gray, Spence, Porro, the whole back line, the whole team, the fan base, and the manager. Yeah. So this would have been the first time we've all watched a game of Kinsky's, right? I'm guessing 99% of us wouldn't have watched a single Slavia Prague game. Yeah. But I didn't know he was going to be this good. And I know this is one game he might have just had like a blinder. And again, there was a few. I mean, the saves were really good, but I actually think it was such a good defensive performance. And I don't know if Liverpool were really on top of their game. He didn't have to make too many saves, but what he did, he just looked so assured, so confident on the ball, so competent and composed. The ball playing of him, the ability to pick a pass, that pass to Son, the whole length of the pitch, and Son takes it down and
crazy.
If he's on maybe a little bit better form or he finds a pass and we're through. And it makes us so much harder to press for the opposition because the trigger press would be Forster, he'll pass it to Dragusin, the pass will be behind Dragusin, you get on Dragusin and don't let him pass it. With Kinsky, you don't know what he's going to do. He was pinging it over Salah's head, he was dinking them, he was zipping them. Mate, he second coming of Neuer.
Yeah.
Genuinely. I'm so excited.
The little flick over Jota's head as well.
Yeah. If he continues like this though, and I know this is like early days, and I feel like we're getting ahead of ourselves because, and I don't think we should get too excited because again, he's 21. He kind of needs to ease his way in. But then again, you're coming in 3 days, 2 training sessions. You're coming in against Liverpool in a semi-final, and you're dropping a clean sheet, 6 saves, like everything. He was perfect. But if he carries on like this with this ball playing ability, because imagine when Van Dijk and Romero play alongside him, competent, that level and skill level of playing out for the back, it would be fucking so hard for Vicario to get back in the team, genuinely.
Yeah, I think so. You think about, well, obviously he can't play in he can play in the Europa League, but he can't play in the next 2 games. But even aside from that, you think about how many games that he's going to have before Vicario gets back. He's probably going to have about a 10-game run in the team, isn't he? Maybe give or take, maybe slightly less, who knows? Like he's going to play, and he's got a lot of big games as well. And like if he has a good performance at the Emirates next week, he's got to go to Anfield for that second leg. Things start to calm down in terms of the hardness of the fixtures after the Arsenal game, but he's got big games. If he continues to play like that, it was an amazing debut. Like everyone remembers good Spurs debuts, and that will be right up there. like right up there, because that's what we've been missing. Like there was a moment where he basically came out to like nearly the halfway line to form like a back three with Gray and Dragusin and push Liverpool back. And it was like you're building up in a back three from, basically 2/3 up the pitch from your own half, from your own box, because he's just got the confidence. And it's just like there were so many times where he'd like allow them to come onto him and just sort of do a little dummy and then just like play a little clip ball. You can also see like Vicario and Forster, like they cannot, I mean this in obviously relative terms, they cannot kick a football. Like Vicario, it's like a punt, whereas like Kinsky is like clipping these little balls, or even when he plays long balls, it's so pure, like it's so like it's Gerrard or something like that, spraying balls. Yeah, it's like he has got real technique. And do you know what it is? I think obviously where he's 21, he's kind of grown up in a generation where goalkeepers have to be footballers, whereas like everybody else, all the greatest goalkeepers of the previous generation, like Alisson, who's obviously still playing now, but like, think about them 10 years ago, all the best goalkeepers in the world right now, that wouldn't be the case. Same as like Raya, for example. Like Raya, I think he's quite similar to Raya in terms of the way that he plays out and the way that he's composed with it, and that's made a difference to Arsenal. He's just a very good footballer, and you have to be that really as a goalkeeper for a top side for the most part. Look at Edison, like the variety. It's also the variety in distribution, like that's what it is. And people have got this idea that Ange will only want to play out from the back and stuff like that. It's like no. Listen to Joe Hart. Listen to what Joe Hart was saying about. Like, yeah, okay, we do want to play out because we feel like the best way to break a team down is to play through them if we've got the players to do it. But also, like, clipping the ball into your striker's chest and playing off him is very much encouraged, and that Ange really likes that. We spoke, it was a big frustration of ours, like, a few months ago that we weren't utilising Solanke's hold-up ability enough. And all right, he didn't get much change out of Van Dijk last night in terms of that. Van Dijk would quite often even nick it off him, even though he played really well. We've got a goalkeeper now who you back to just clip these little cute balls. And like you said, the best thing about it is it makes us far more difficult to press and actually eases a lot of the stress on Gray and Dragusin in this period where, think about the confidence that's going to give them now to be able to be like, okay, we've got a goalkeeper now who we can utilise as a third centre-back, whereas Forster's not going to do that. If we need to get someone out, if we need to get out of trouble, rather than just, oh, fuck, like Forster's going to launch the ball out and like, now it's like, no, lads, like I'm a centre-back. One of you, like, you basically, goalkeepers have to be a centre-back and build up these days. And we've got one. And, he made a couple of good saves as well. That one from Nunes at the end, he probably had it covered anyway. But like the reaction from that, the way he came out and made himself big for the other Nunes save when he came through. I'll be honest, I did think the one in the first half from Gakpo went under him.
Yeah.
It swerved a little bit late and he dealt with it. It doesn't matter.
But also, it's how he bounced back, because that kind of could have played on his head a little bit.
Was it that? Because I haven't seen a replay.
No, it wasn't. It really wasn't. It was just the way he hit
looked
it.
A bit
it zipped across, and it came through a few bodies. And again, I don't think he'd made a save until then. So like it was just, I'm not surprised he kind of spilt it, but he didn't spill it to it. Even if a player was running in, he had it. It was just to the side of him.
Yeah.
But that could, on a young goalie, remember, 21 as a goalkeeper, you're not reaching your prime for another 10 years. You're a baby. But that could have played in his mind. It didn't. He didn't. He just looks so confident. And the way he conducts himself in interviews after, you can see he's a future leader. He's so assured and so calm. And he looks like he's already like building some sort of rapport with the players, the way he's hugging them, Postecoglou, and that will only help it. But Solanke as well in the post-match interview. But
that interview was great. That interview was so good. And I tweeted last night, I was like, when you read, I actually didn't even watch the interview that he did with the club when he signed. I just didn't. Well, I didn't watch it. I don't know why. I just didn't watch it. But when I was doing the research for the video and stuff that I made, like you could tell he's confident, like very, very confident. And the interview that he did with Solanke, he was like making jokes and stuff like that, and he was very much like very clear in his communication. And then the interview that he did with the club as well, like he's just got that showed the confidence, but the Sky one showed a little bit of charisma as well. And it was just like, this kid backs himself. He absolutely backs himself. And Ange said it as well after the game, didn't he? He was like, before he signed, when I spoke to him, while we were trying to get the deal done, it was like, I could just tell this is a kid that is going to come in and just be able to be like, yep, throw me in, absolutely. And, what a nice moment that was at the end of the game. I think it was his sister that he went up to. It's just and his dad as well, who used to be a goalkeeper. Like that's what football's about. Like that's just like an amazing moment for him, and he deserves it. And he's going to get. What do you think about it? When Vicario is going to be back? What, mid-Feb, late Feb? I'm just looking at the fixtures now. He's going to get. He's going to get. 1, 2,
he's gonna
3.
Get benched, mate.
What, Vicario?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 league games potentially.
Do you think he deserves to come? I mean, this is like a very ahead and getting ahead of ourselves. But if, say, he doesn't drop that level, which is a massive ask on a 21-year-old, do you think he deserves to come straight back in the team, Vicario? Because again, like we said, he's not an undroppable player. He's very important to the spine at the moment.
And he's a good leader as well.
He's a great leader. But if he's coming back from a long-term injury, you kind of just wait until the end of the season anyways, because this season is practically done. And you kind of, and again, I'm getting ahead of myself. I've seen one game of this kid, like of the keeper. But I'm just saying, hypothetically, if he carries on this and he's consistent with it, it's kind of like see it out in pre-season and best goalkeeper and battle it out. Also, if we're not in Europe next year, fucking hell.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be interesting.
What a battle between the both of them because I mean, if Kinsky is who we think he could be, because again, you've got to consider age, you've got to consider everything. But again, they were the same price.
Yeah,
same price.
It's not as if we've gone big on a goal.
Not like
it's not as if we signed.
It's not like it's like this is a massive investment and we want to keep playing them. They're the same. I think they're on an even playing field when it comes to battling out for that first team spot.
Yeah,
and that's what we've been crying out for. And I don't think anyone even expected that. I don't think anyone expected that, especially in January. We were linked with Sam fucking Johnston. Like, can you imagine him coming through? We probably would have lost. Probably would have lost that game. I thought it was funny though because he's 21, I'm 20. I was sat there with a cup of tea and a flapjack in my hand next to my dad, and he was saying how his dad was in the crowd and like when he was hugging his sister and stuff like that. And I was looking at my dad and I was like, he's so fucking disappointed in me. Like I'm just sat next to him with a flapjack, I mean a fat mess.
Yeah.
And this 21-year-old, this dad on TV is watching his 21-year-old. Yeah. Whoa, Bergvall, let's fucking go. I was like, such a mess in my living room. But yeah, it's so promising, and that when you've got this sort of hub of young players, and that leads me on to Lucas Bergvall.
Oh my word,
David Ornstein. And I don't know why he was saying this because he's a transfer journalist, but there was a quote that came out from David Ornstein.
Recently?
He literally after the game, it was like Lucas Bergvall was playing like a young Steven Gerrard, and I don't know about that, but the way he ran off celebrating actually looked like. I mean, I'm too young to remember like in that watching it in time. I don't think I did, but when you see young clips of Gerrard running off celebrating off scoring, he had the same sort of like charisma. I can't even like describe it. Of just pure. He's just a pure footballer. Like someone said, like no dancing, no nothing for the camera. It's just pure passion. Like the way he ran off, wheeled right to the crowd, just didn't know what to do with his body, and then the perfect 10 out of 10 knee slide. Like. Yeah. He's such a baller. It's ridiculous. And I love how the rival fans are like saying how good he is, how good Kinsky looks, how good Archie Gray looks. Like everyone can see the potential on the outside. And even Postecoglou in his post-match interview was saying, he kind of made it like a tongue-in-cheek joke saying, these two are, I'm so happy they're at a football club. But if I'm not here when in 2 or 3 years to have them in that sort of when they really come to, he's going to be so angry. And it's like well, first of all, that means Postecoglou's in it for the long game because he's only got like 2 years left of his contract. But I just with Lucas Bergvall, the maturity, and again, we've spoke about there's certain elements of his game that he needs to iron out. He's a little bit rough around the edges when it comes to. I think he's a little bit rash. I think he gets a bit too like pumped up sometimes. But you play that at your game. That's not like an element of his actual physical attribute, etc. That's just an experience thing of knowing when to do certain things. But there was a moment where we should have scored with Porro, and Bergvall just relentless, ran from the centre of the pitch all the way to Alisson. Alisson's one of the hardest goalkeepers in the world to press, and he almost gets there first time, gets up straight away and tackles Alisson again, and then slips in Porro, again, and it's like like the maturity he's showing is a joke. And there isn't anything that he hasn't got, and that finish was superb. To beat Alisson, Van Dijk's coming at you at the side, like with a bit of speed and diving in, and to like the composure he showed to zip it with the inside of his foot, curl it, bottom corner. No goalie's getting that. No goalkeeper. He put it in the one place where Alisson actually couldn't move.
Yeah.
And the way he wheeled away, he's such a he's so good. He's so good. And I don't know. Go on, carry on.
No, go on. No, I was going to say.
I don't really have anything else to say. I'm just dopamine.
It's a goal that feels like it's a goal. It's a goal that feels like a proper moment, didn't it? Like you talk about players like Gerrard and stuff like that. Like the anticipation of Solanke laying it off and he just runs onto it. It wasn't until I watched it back on the train home where the venom that he hits that with as well, like unnecessary, just to wrap it in the bottom corner and rifle it in. It's like in the back of the net before you even realise. And then in front of the south stand, the knee slide, it was all just perfect, absolutely perfect. Like you said, Van Dijk just coming at him. I was just literally looking at the thumbnambler you made me on my right, and it's like Van Dijk's close to getting there, and it's like, nah, fuck off. Just like
he wheeled away before it even rippled in the net as well. Like he just knew as soon as he hit it, he'd scored, and he was already running to the
unreal. Like he just, I felt sorry for him as well because he when there was a few moments before the Bentancur incident where you could see why having him in that 10 role was going to be beneficial in this game, to have the legs and energy to get us up the pitch if we were going to be a little bit more conservative with Bentancur and Basuma sitting in, which I thought was going to be beneficial for the game. And then obviously Bentancur goes off, you have the 10-minute break. He then has to adapt and goes back, shows that discipline. And I thought Basuma was excellent as well, by the way. I often think that because the yellow card was a bit clumsy, that often clouds people's judgments of him as a footballer. And I think we've been critical of him. I've certainly been critical of him, probably a bit over the top at times. And, you always tend to qualify it by saying, well, playing our number 6 role is really hard. And it is really hard. But sometimes his decision-making at times, regardless of that, has been ridiculous. But last night, the discipline that he showed and the way that Bergvall complimented him, the structure out of possession they both showed, superb. But again, it's him, I don't know, everything that he wants to do is... Everything Bergvall wants to do is progressive. When he has phases in games where everything goes through him, everything starts to tick through him. He's playing little 1-2s with people and then spraying it out wide. It's like he's running the game, which is also going to help us against low blocks because he's got that whip. He's got that ping to switch play quickly. He just becomes this sort of metronome. And you're like, I know it's not it's obviously a very basic thing to say, but when you look at a player and think they've got it, I think everyone's looking at him and thinking, nah, this kid is a player. Not that he's going to be good. This kid could be a real talent. And the composure on the finish, it's just he's just brilliant. I always thought, we always kind of said that there's a real opportunity for him to break into this team at some point during the season. I think I even said that I feel like there's a chance he might be starting by November. It's happened because of the injuries. It's a shame really that someone because I was going to say, on a wider point on Ange and the kids, obviously we've had a tough run, but last night shows that you can still make progress. Or even not just last night, but individual performances over the last few months from certain players, despite this run, has showed that you can really make being in adversity. And last night kind of all came together for that. You can make progress while you're in a difficult moment. And Bergvall is kind of a prime example. And you think about the fast-track development of him and Gray because of this difficult period that we've had with the injuries and stuff. It's a shame that someone like Mikey Moore hasn't been able to benefit from it as well, because you think about how Son's been playing and Odegaard being out injured and Werner being the only other option. Mikey Moore would have played way more minutes he would have played a lot of minutes if he didn't have that virus. So it's a shame that he's not been able to benefit from it, because I was thinking last night, I was like, obviously, I think Werner actually did all right when he came on, to be fair. It gave us a bit of pace and something to run at Trent. But I was thinking we need, it kind of goes back to the thing of not being able to play Son and Johnson and 2 wingers with the same kind of profile at the same time. But someone to dribble I was like, if we can get someone to dribble and run at Trent when he came on, that'd be great. And I think maybe just because he hasn't played a lot of football, he probably would have come on if that wasn't the case, because he's not been scared to bring him on against anyone really. But it was it's been, this season from a league perspective, like we said at the start, might be a bit of a write-off. And if it means that we finish fucking 11th or 10th, we've got a lot of ground to make up to get to European places, then so be it. But if we can have a go at the cups and also also let these players continue to grow and blossom, when maybe it was, they're 1 year ahead of, this in theory kind of should be next season for Bergvall and Gray. And, if they can continue to mature and develop with the games that they're playing. And also, like, Gray, again, like, out of position. He was brilliant last night. He was absolutely brilliant. I'd sometimes worry about that defensive line and the organisation of it and letting players in behind. That's happened a few times, and that's not just on him, it's on Dragusin as well. But, like, the composure to play out, reading and stepping up. He was like playing like Romero last night, stepping up, aggressive, intercepting things, reading it, and then playing out from the back. And that pass that he played to Kulusevski with the outside of his foot after he'd jumped out of the Liverpool press and gone past them and gone, I'm going to fizz this ball through. Like, it was superb. So, yeah, Bergvall has been they've both been massive beneficiaries of it, despite the fact that it's been hard. And it's been really hard for Gray as a centre-half. Like Ange said, what other team in the Premier League is playing with two 18-year-olds starting every single game at the moment and one playing at centre-half out of position? It's just,
Yeah. The thing about Archie Gray as well is that there's a lot of controversy about him playing like centre back at 18, out of position, right back, left back, centre back, not playing in midfield. But again, this is all going to just help his development, because, like I said about Bergvall, we got the same with Moore and with Gray, in the fact that they've got all the elements, the physicality, the speed, the technicality of a top player. But it's the experience. They just need a bit more experience to sort of just to refine their talent. And Archie Gray playing centre back is just going to help him have that game experience. It's going to make him a better footballer over time. Well, he gets compared to Declan Rice all the time, or like a young Declan Rice. And when he was at Leeds, everyone was saying he plays a little bit like Declan Rice. Declan Rice started as a centre back at West Ham. He was never putting up these levels at centre back, never. Yeah. And this is the thing that our hands been forced. We had to play Bergvall, Gray. Moore's been unfortunate. But yeah, the game time's the only thing that's stopping them from being top, because they're generational. I genuinely think that. And they've had to, like Bergvall, he's had to buy his time. He's had to wait. I mean, that image of him at Karabag where he makes his first start, and he's had to be hooked off because Dragusin gets sent off, and it's like you see the pain on his face, the stress on his and sort of frustration on his face, because he's a player that just wants to show off his talent, and he's had to wait, and he's deserved this spot. And now you're looking at a player, you're looking at a system where it was really working with Maddison and Kulusevski as the eights. And then it was that one game, West Ham, and Sarr came and replaced Maddison at half time, and he hasn't gone back to that. But when you see Bergvall and his ability to be physical, he's played 6, 8, 10. That double eights might come back into play at some point with Bergvall and Kulusevski, and Bentancur or Bissouma, and then you've got a much more balanced double eight in midfield, I think, with Bergvall and Kulusevski. It just takes experience. It just takes game time, and you're gonna have all these tiny little flaws in their games. They're gonna be refined, and that's for Gray, Bergvall, this hub of young talent we have, and it's so exciting. And like Ange said, he referred to 2 to 3 years. They are gonna be sensational if all goes to plan in 2 to 3 years. And they just seem really grounded. They don't look like players that you know how like Garnacho. This is like really random. I'm digging out Garnacho, but you know how you just saw it and you just like, yeah, he is a bit of a diva. He knows he's good.
Yeah,
and the way he conducts himself, you know, he could be a bit of a bad egg, and that's come true a little bit as well, because there's a lot of things about him leaking team news, etc. Giving Amorin stick in training and stuff like that. And it's like Archie Gray goes around, picks up the bibs after a training session. Bergvall, the way he composes himself in interviews, he's so humble, he's so grounded. He is a young leader. Kinsky looks the same. Yang look very, very humble. Mikey Moore seems like a good working, like hard working lad. And you're looking at this hub of talent. It's all about nurturing them and it's like growing your own vegetables in your garden.
Yeah. It's more rewarding, isn't it? It's more rewarding. Isn't
Yeah.
I feel like I just want to go.
Yeah.
I just feel like I want to go and play Football Manager after this and just sim like 2 years ahead and then just play with them as like 23, or like 5 years ahead and play with them as like 23-year-olds.
Yeah,
like to see where they're at.
I've got a couple of uni essays to write for Monday. I'm going on career mode after this. I'm just the dopamine's running strong. I'm going to sign Kolo Muani and then just play all the youngsters. I'm going to drop Son and Johnson. Not good enough, mate. Not good enough. We're moving on. Nah, I don't. They were fine. It's just I know what you mean about the profile. And
I thought Son was really. I'll be honest. I thought Son was really poor in that first half.
I agree with what you say about the profiling. It's just like if just one player, if we had I know this is fucking ridiculous, but if we had a Nico Williams or someone or someone who all of a sudden becomes a problem as soon as they get the ball, they're running at you, going both ways. You have to double up on them. It just gives Son or Johnson so much more license. And I don't want to say I don't think Johnson's going to make it at Spurs. I don't see it happening. I feel like maybe it's a move that might be a bit too big for him. I don't know, because he always seems low on confidence. Then he had that spell where he was scoring a lot of goals, and that started to slow down a little bit. And I don't know whether that was pearl patch or what, but it's his all-round game. He's got so much raw potential, and he hasn't kicked on, and I think we were expecting to. And he very much, like, he very well could still do that. But it's the same with Son as well. When you're thinking about forward planning, there just has to be another winger come in, at least one who can play either side and help them. They need help, I think, because they're incredible players. It's just the system. I don't think the system suits either of them really, which is something we've talked about before. I think the fan base is aware of that. We just need that bit of spark on the other wing to help them. So I agree with what you were saying there. But I want to talk about Jed Spence.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Jed Spence because, again, he's another player. He's had to buy his time. He's up against Mo Salah, and I think that's the quietest game Mo Salah's had this season.
Yeah. You think about the league game, I know Salah scored 2 goals and was pretty influential in the game, but he played well, but he didn't get much out of Spence at all from a one-on-one perspective, and it was the same last night. And it was just like, this is just becoming a bit the norm with Spence, and he's not really had a bad game at all since he kind of stepped in for us. And look, Doggy's obviously going to be out for a prolonged period, out for at least like another month. So he's going to get, again, like we were saying to Kinsky earlier, he's going to keep playing. He's going to get a lot of games unless Spurs sign a left back in January to kind of help ease the workload of him, because it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough physically. It's tough physically for everyone, but he's playing so well. He's playing so well, to the point where when the Doggy comes back, you're thinking, well, how do we drop him? Like, how do we do that? But we're in a good place in terms of being able to establish that competition. And sometimes things always don't pan out the way you thought they might do. And sometimes it takes an injury crisis or an opportunity for open up to someone to go and grab it. And that's definitely what Spence has done. Like, you have to give him so much credit for how he just knuckled down and applied himself. And, people maybe thought that it could have gone another way when Ange started turning and giving him all the praise and stuff. But he's just gone from strength to strength. And last night, he just doesn't seem... He's another one that's just backs himself. And, people have maybe said that would be something that could be his undoing in the past about the arrogance or whatever. But just confident, calm, composed, good defender above anything. I think we'd see him much better in an attacking sense if he was playing on the right. I do think we'd get more out of him from
I agree.
If he was playing on that right hand side. But for the job that he's doing right now, he's been fantastic, absolutely brilliant.
It kind of benefits us that he is a little bit more reserved as well on the left. I think it benefits the balance that we don't have 2 gun-ho fullbacks pushing on. He is a little bit more reserved, and again, he had to be for Salah yesterday. He's a player that he's 24. Yeah, this is his first sort of run of games. He conducts himself as a leader. He does. he's just assured. I don't think he's shouty. I think he's quite quiet, I'm guessing, like on the pitch, but he kind of leads by example. He holds himself in a high regard. The way he sort of walks around the pitch, it just instills you with confidence. And the way he plays as well, he takes risks, and I think Ange Postecoglou would actually like that. And a lot of the time, injuries sort of sometimes could be a good exercise to see who's not quite good enough. But in a weird way, this injury crisis it's been the opposite. We've seen who is good enough, and now we're in a situation like you were saying of when players come back, it's like, oh, they don't deserve to come straight back into the team, and that's what good teams have. We've always been crying out for 2 quality players per position. Jed Spence has got all the potential to be a quality player. I don't know what is going on like behind closed doors, but apparently he seems a lot more sort of nailed on and hard working. I'm guessing you can't have to guess through the press conferences, which isn't fair on Spence on what, and reading between the lines of what managers keep saying about him. But he seems he's earned his way back in the team from almost an impossible terminal position at the club. And again, he's always at the fan side because of the Conte thing.
Yeah,
it was a new signing, never got played, so the fans have always loved him, and I think that's helped him.
He's never had to win anybody over, has he? Other than the manager.
No, we've all been crying for him for 2 years. He's been there for so long. Tuchel, Conte, that handshake feels like an eternity ago. Jed Spence was in the background trying to split that up. He's been there for so long. That's mad, isn't it? Because that feels ages ago. Jed Spence there when Postecoglou's getting stick from at a Bournemouth game. He's there pulling Postecoglou away. He's always been there in the background, and now he's there at the front leading the team because he played like a leader yesterday. He did. He was incredible, and to lock up Salah the way he did. Porro the other side as well, the tracking back, getting numbers back into the box when we're retrieving, and Liverpool were attacking. The fullbacks were insane, and I do think. I think the thing about our fullbacks is they're always overworked. Now Spence is showing that he's quality either side. It does ease the pressure on because we're so overplaying the doggy Porro. I still think we need a left back over everything. Obviously, Van der Ven and Romero are coming back at the end of the month. Gray has shown that, and Davis and Dragusin. I kind of think, obviously, Vuskovic is coming in the summer. I still think we're going to go out and get another centre back in the summer. But if you're looking for it now, the doggy's gone for ages. Even when he comes back, you don't want to overplay. We're in lots of competitions. Jed Spence, Porro, unbelievable 2 right backs to have at your disposal, and a doggy and another left back. But Spence can play either way. He's incredible. I love him, and I love seeing him finally get this chance and sort of reap the rewards. And we've had to just go along with it and know that he's not playing for some reason. But we've been waiting for this. I think as fan base, and it's such a good feeling that we've been waiting for it. We've been like we could see the potential every time we played, and it's finally happened. So I want to talk about the Tamsworth game, mate, because obviously the second leg's the second leg. We can get into it when the time comes, but obviously it's going to be really tough at Anfield. We got a month. We got players coming back.
A month away, yeah. It's weird.
That is a bit stupid. Like all the momentum's gone, and actually, in a way, it could benefit us because in a month, what are we going to be playing for? Like in the Premier League, what are we going to be playing for? Liverpool that's going to be a really intense moment for Liverpool in a month's time. And it might even be to the point where it slots like, look, I mean, it's not going to happen because it's 1-0 at Anfield. You're not going to throw it away like that.
Oh, they could get back in the game like in the first 5 minutes of the game.
Easy. But then if we got Romero, Van der Ven, and I actually can't wait to see Romero, Van der Ven, and Kinsky. Yeah, I can't wait because I just think Vicario looks confident because he's next to Romero, Van der Ven. We're on the ball, I mean. But Kinsky looks confident next to Dragusin and Gray. It's like you can tell Kinsky's ball playing ability, his level is above Vicario's. And I know we haven't seen much about his shot stopping and stuff like that. Shot stopping. And I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but fucking hell, we've signed the next Neuer, haven't we? Like 100%. He's generational. Quickly, then I want to talk about Tamsworth. Because like you're saying, we didn't see Werner came on, we didn't see Yang, we didn't see Moore. But we do you think we'll see them in Tamsworth? Do you think that's a good game to play them? It's going to be obviously physical. It's going to be the game of Tamsworth's history. But
do you reckon Spudman
the level. Yeah, you said this about.
That's where he's from, Tamworth. Spudman. Hopefully they'll just be too full up on like jacket potatoes, and we'll just smash them like 8-0.
You should do some like content with him, TikTok content. You should go.
Should I go on Sunday and link up with Spudman?
Yeah. What? The duo we never know we needed. But what? So for me, I want to see Mikey Moore. I know Mikey Moore's maybe you want to ease him in, but I want to see Mikey Moore, Yang, Lancashire up front. But more, I don't want to go too. I am a little bit concerned. I don't want to go too sort of easy or not easy, but I still want to have experienced players. So I don't think I'd change the back five. I don't think I'd change the goalie or the centre back or the fullback. I don't think we can, anyways.
No, not really. Unless I'd play. Maybe comes in. Could be.
Yeah, and then I'd play Saar, Bergvall, Madison. I think that's a really good midfield for that game because Madison and Saar, they got fresher legs. It's more, and and Madison could be that leader, give him the captaincy. Let Solanke, Kulusevski rest because that's big for them to have a full.
I wouldn't even
save their legs because you could. No, I mean Solanke again was superb, and that the assist, everything to knock Kanate off the ball like that with ease is mental. But yeah, Solanke, Kulusevski, I'd leave them. But Yang, I just really want to see Yang. I don't know. He's just so intriguing, isn't he?
Yeah.
Because he may not be ready. I just want to see him in the system because I did think yesterday. I think the margins were too tight to bring Mikey Moore and Yang on.
Definitely,
they were too tight. I think they're the subs, especially Yang. They're the subs when you're a little bit more comfortable, or maybe you're just desperate. But it was such fine margins that as soon as maybe you don't get that press right, or the angles, etc., it's all about really, really specific details. And then when we went 1-0 up, there was no point bringing Yang on. But in the system, I just want to see him. And Tamsworth, I think, is a good test and also a good introduction to physicality.
Yeah,
because they're going to be up for it. And seeing how Yang deals with that sort of physical pressure, because it'll be a hard game. They're going to be playing for their lives. So what would you like to see? I've said my start 11.
Yeah, something similar, to be honest. It'd be again defense. I think having that continuity is important, and that consistency. They obviously like to maybe give them a rest, but we haven't really got the options to do that unless I think Dorrington maybe comes in for one of them. Maybe Reguilon gets a game at left back potentially. Maybe if that's the case, I'd maybe play Spence on the right and play Reguilon on the left and give Porro a rest and keep him fresh for Arsenal.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe Dorrington comes on half time or something. Maybe just give like a full half to one of them.
Yeah,
and just sort of manage minutes well.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, Madison. I be interested. Obviously, trying to think forward to the Emirates. Is he going to play Madison at the Emirates? I don't know. I think it'll probably be Basuma, Saar, and Kulusevski. I don't know. Actually, he might play Madison, and I don't know. It's really hard. It's a really hard team to predict. But I imagine you probably see I think Will Lancashire will probably play up front. I think Saar will probably play. I think probably rest Basuma, and then.
What if he plays Gray? What if he gives Gray a game in midfield, plays Bergvall, Gray, Saar, and then Dorrington centre back?
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, maybe he could do that. It's so hard to predict, honestly, mate. It's hard. It's a hard guessing game for a game like that because it's like where they're so down the pyramid. It's not like if it was League One or Championship. Okay, all right, no, we obviously still need to take. I'm not saying we don't take it seriously. We have to take it seriously on Sunday, absolutely, but.
Yeah,
it's probably easier to nail a team down like that. Where it's like, okay, they'll probably play some of these players, but it'll be mostly still, first teamers. And again, we ain't got much of a choice at the moment. So,
I quite like to see more tried in the 10 role.
Yeah,
I think he'd do really well. I think he'd be a little bit like old school Grealish, a little bit. And I know he hasn't really played that, but he given him the free roaming to cover both flanks and through the middle, his ball carrying abilities. I think maybe Johnson on the right, Lancashire, Yang, Moore 10, Bergvall, Sarr. That'd be there's still balance there. I think. I just don't know if he'll do that. He may even just play one of Yang and Mikey Moore and then bring the other one on. But again, it's one of those games where I don't really care. It's kind of exciting because I'm a bit nervous about it because it's Spurs, but it's one of those games where I'm just excited to see young talent.
Yeah,
fucking hell, I sound like a paedophile. I'm just excited to see young Spurs talent to see what they can bring to the system. And hopefully, fingers crossed, it could be a game in how many months? A stress-free game, watching Spurs and just relaxing.
That'd be nice.
And watching us sort of prevail. It would be so nice. We kind of need that, especially before a North London derby at the Emirates. It's like, let's just have a fucking day off, can we? But yeah, everyone, thanks for watching. That's going to be up there with one of the performances of the season. We have had a few performances where the dopamine lasts a good couple of weeks, well, until the next Spurs game. But that's definitely up there. I mean, beating Liverpool, the second team this season to beat Liverpool, and to also in the Carabao Cup to beat, and I know it's Man United and Man City haven't been Man United, Man City of old this season, but in the Cup we've beaten Manchester City, Man United, and Liverpool. I mean, you can't really turn your nose up at that. I mean, that is a massive achievement, and it's not done yet. We obviously have to go to the second leg, but it's really, really encouraging, especially when we're in such a time of misery. You can't ignore that achievement, and it's a little bit anti-Spurs as well, because not anti-Spurs, but it's. I mean, we normally whimper out of these competitions, and we're really trying to fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
What you want to see.
Well, if we get to the final,
it's another thing you want to see.
Yeah, if we get to the final, obviously we beat Coventry in the first round, but to then beat City, United, Liverpool, and then even Newcastle or Arsenal to win it would be, some run.
Yeah.
I don't feel like a lot of other teams do that. So, yeah, very anti-Spurs, but another great performance. Our last 6 wins have come against Liverpool, Man United, Aston Villa, Man City, and I can't remember. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's so Spurs, isn't
it? Literally.
And everyone, I'll be back with transfer streams. Obviously, the Kola Moani interest sort of heating up. We don't know whether that's going to come through. Obviously, there was tier 2, tier 3 journalists sort of suggesting we've agreed terms, which is exciting. Personal terms. So we'll be updating you with all the transfer news as well with the live streams. But yeah, a lot's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. Hopefully. We saw how good Kinsky can be, bringing someone in, how positive and how beneficial that is. Acting quick. If we didn't act that quick and sign Kinsky, who knows what the score would have been yesterday. But yeah, everyone, thanks for joining. Up the Spurs. Unreal.
Nice.